Do-do-do. 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 Do-do-do-do-do-do. Used to go to rock shows, yeah, and people would sell minerals and meteorites. I used to collect meteorites. I love, beautiful geodes. Just the beauty of the natural mineral specimens. It's absolutely gorgeous. And there's always a certain section of the gem show, gem and mineral shows. Used to go with my wife out in California, which were absolutely huge. But there's a section dedicated to the New Age woo-wooers. Yeah, and they'd be like selling weirdo, oh, look, the magic rock. You can put this on your heart chakra, and it'll, just. And I'm not selling anything. Not selling anything whatsoever. I've shown people before, about a year and a half ago, on how to make a structured water device. And the really odd question that I get asked all the time is on how to build this, and it couldn't be more simple. I can't bring it out here because it would be too close to the computer. They're 2" by 2" by 1" neodymium iron boron magnets. Okay, 2" by 2" by 1". Neodymium actually fluctuates like gold and silver. 99% of it comes out of China. We have a lot of it here in the United States, but the evil Environmental Protection Agency keeps us from mining it, the neodymium, because we can get it so cheap from China. And so that's why it fluctuates. I don't know what the current price is on one of those suckers. It's usually about 40 bucks. You just take it and you get yourself some copper coil from Lowe's or Home Depot. And to keep it from kinking, yeah, the copper tubing from kinking when you're bending it around the magnet, is you can fill it with water and freeze it. Yeah, and then of course when you're done bending it, you just let the water, let the copper tubing heat up, and then of course the ice melts and falls out. People use also salt, but it takes a big pain on the backside to actually get the salt out of the copper tubing. You run hot water through it, and you have to wait for all the salt to dissolve. Some people use sand. That's even harder to get out. But you just fill it. That's how they actually take dents out of trombones and stuff like that, is they'll fill it full of water, freeze it, and rebend. Actually, when they're shaping it, excuse me. When they're shaping it to prevent kinks in the brass, and brass is essentially copper, is you freeze the water inside of it so you can bend it. This is a 2" by 2" rubber plumbing gasket. It's like $5 on at Lowe's or Home Depot. I actually stick the 2" by 2" by 1" neodymiums in here. I wrap a towel around it to make it as much of a ball shape as possible, such that when you're wrapping something around a rectangular brick, there's a bunch of 90-degree angles. So even with the ice in it, the tubing wants to kink. So by actually placing the 2" by 2" by 1" in this with a towel wrapped around it, and you actually take some duct tape and wrap around it, it basically makes it mostly a ball shape. In this way, with the frozen water, you do 4 wraps, one direction. You bring it around 90 degrees and 4 wraps the other direction. The inlet is here, the outlet is there, or vice versa. It doesn't make any difference. I mean, it couldn't be more simple. A blind person can do it. But I was reticent to make this video like a year and a half ago, because I've got, and it's in the description below, on the geometry of water. It's the only perfect geometry in the entire universe. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. It's the exact same geometry tattooed here on the back side of my hand, upside down. The 108, 36 degree geometry of perfect Pythagorean incommensurability, which is also the necessary component for life to occur. Yeah, it's literally the antenna for the manifestation of consciousness. There is no life without water. Period. Without water, human beings are just a pile of dust. That's also a fact. The idea of structured water is not New Age woo-woo. There is nobody more opposed to the oh, this is your heart chakra stone, and over here we have the woo-woo crystal, and you put this on your third eye. Sorry if you're into that. Whatever. I'm not into any sort of New Age woo-woo, but superficially talking about structured water does sound like it is like that, but it is not. There are things that are quantitatively pure, and there are things that are qualitatively pure. Yeah, all the water that you get out of your tap is recycled a gazillion times. Toilet water and throw up and every form of nasty filth and filth that goes into the sewage treatment plant. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that water. Like New York City loves to boast about how clean their water. Our water is the cleanest in the nation, and they do. Quantitatively pure water does come out of the taps in New York City. However, you're literally drinking a bazillion times recycled toilet and bath, a filth of the highest order. Well, it's quantitatively pure water. There's only 2 parts per trillion of particulate matter. Well, this is all true. But it is the nature of water within the geometric structure of the nature of water, which is the holographic paradigm for the manifestation of life and consciousness. By the way, this same geometry, the 108, 36, 36, the only perfect geometry in the entire universe, the only Pythagorean perfection of perfect incommensurability, and triplicate, by the way, makes up, you actually take this triangle, you rotate it, what is it, 36 degrees? Another 36, a triplicate overlay, you have, of course, the Pythagorean pentagram. That's actually the secret of the Pythagorean pentagram, is the triplicate perfection of the Pythagorean incommensurable isosceles triangle of the 108, 36, 36, which is also to the geometry of water. Isn't that fascinating? So water can be, of course, quantitatively pure, but qualitatively impure. I've known since a very early age, shouldn't be drinking stuff out of the tap. Of course, we take a shower in the tap water. Try to get little of it as possible in your mouth, just to scrub the dirt off, your bod when you're taking a shower, obviously, or to shower or to take a bath in. You ever taken a bath in spring water? I used to do an enormous amount of cave diving in Central Springs in Central Florida. I've been in the aquifer for 60 plus years. Little River, Devil's Eye Cave, Devil's Ear Cave, Ginny Springs, bunch of they're around the High Springs area of Florida. It's magical. The temperature is the same year round, 72 degrees. Structured water in simple, what it does, of course, it doesn't actually change the quantitative nature of the water, obviously so. You're actually passing it around like that video I just uploaded of the world's most powerful structured water device, which is around that monster, super expensive magnet. It's following actually 6 wraps around the centrifugal edge. Is you're actually doing what Mother Nature does in the aquifer system for 50, 60, sometimes 120 years, depending on the aquifer and how long the water generally resides in the aquifer system before it goes from rain to eventually comes out of the spring where human beings collect it. That's what it is. So I still wouldn't drink the water out of, you can though, and of course it does change the structure of the water. Qualitative, actually blind taste tests on structured water that's done correctly, that has correct applicable centrifugal magnetic field to the structured water, does give people, kind of like you're drinking Diet Coke, caffeine-free Coke versus caffeinated Coke. We're not saying that you should drink that. Where one person actually has a boost, they feel better, they feel more holistic throughout the day, and people think, well, that's mind over body or power of suggestion, placebo effect, but these are blind tests that are actually done on genuine structured water. So that's what it does. I'm not selling anything to anybody. I'm not selling the magnets, and a lot of people have asked me to make structured water devices. I made a couple for friends, but I can't get into ordering neodymium magnets and freezing the water inside the copper tubing. You can use vinyl tubing. People say, well, copper's toxic. Yeah, but that doesn't make any difference. It's not actually fermenting in the copper. It's only taking a few seconds to pass through it. Countless super expensive professional food grade equipment, pans and so on and so forth, is pure copper. Copper itself is toxic, but you're not letting it sit there to dissolve the copper unless it's acidic water, of course, like a seltzer water or something, where it's dissolving the copper and you're drinking too much copper, which is bad for your system past a certain point, because pure copper is toxic, even super, super pure copper is. So it's not sitting there and fermenting in the copper, so using copper is fine. I used vinyl tubing, which is a really easy way to go. People say, oh, plastics, vinyl tubing. It's only taking a few seconds to pass through the vinyl tubing. So there is a difference as far as the qualitative nature of the water versus the quantitative nature of the water. And people ask, what about the strength? What about the centrifugal configuration on that monster water quality device that I have that I'm going to tonight actually pour a bunch of plastic coat on, and tomorrow flip it over and put the rest of the plastic coat on the other side. It's less the strength of the magnet than it is the length and time of exposure. That device that I made in the basement is nearly 11 feet of centrifugal exposure, which is more than any other single device, unless it's passing through multiple magnets. That magnet, however, is incredibly expensive. The water flow is inverse as far as how it's wrapped to the field of the magnetic polarity specific. It's actually spiraling in counterclockwise relative to the clockwise spin on the one pole and inverse so on the other side of the pole. But you don't need a monster magnet to make a structured water device. Just a 2 by 2 by 1 inch is the best, and it's a 1/4 inch inside diameter copper tubing. You do 4 wraps. You could do 3. You could do 4 wraps one side, 90 degrees, and 4 wraps the other side. Freeze water in it. You could use salt. Salt's the easy way. Cap off one end, pour salt down the tube, wrap it, and then of course you're going to have to cut where you've actually crimped it on the one end where you actually had the salt in it, so you could bend it without kinking the copper tubing, and then pour in hot water to dissolve the salt out to clear out the line of the copper tubing that's wrapped around the magnet. So this is what a structured device is, structured water device. I know it sounds like New Age woo-woo, and I have no connection. None to New Age woo-woo. I don't support the New Age, magic heart chakra. And if you like that stuff, that's fine. It does sound like that about water, but water has a million magical properties, and I don't use the word magic lightly. Without it, life is not possible. It is the polar antenna for the manifestation of consciousness. It is the only perfect incommensurable geometry in the entire universe. It's the reason why in triplicate, making up the form of the pentagram, it is the Pythagorean geometry of perfection, which is the tripartite world, where you actually take this geometry, overlay it 2 more times on top of itself, and you end up with, of course, the pentagram. The New Agers adopted the pentagram much later on. Early it was known what the importance of Pythagorean incommensurability was, and then the New Age woo-wooers, you know what I'm talking about. New Age woo-wooers, they adopted, actually more accurate word is hijack the pentagram, but they have no idea what its actual importance was to Pythagorean incommensurability and the Eurystos and what the nature of that perfect geometry is. But anyway, that's what a structured water device is. It is really simple. I'm not selling a structured water device. The article that I wrote below is in the main list that you could download. It's completely free. I wrote that. You should find it quite interesting. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Lux e Veritas. Goodbye.